Hi, I'm Lisa and welcome back to my Fat React series where we're going to be reacting to different aspects of health culture. This includes the fitness community, the fat acceptance community, as well as popular health and beauty trends. So have you heard? I'm fatphobic. At least that's how it appears to be in my comment sections. I mean, never mind, I've been fat for the majority of my life, and so I have a very, very knowledgeable lived experience of being fat. But me criticizing the fat acceptance movement, criticizing the fat liberation movement, kind of being blah on body positivity, and just overall trying to lose weight and encourage people to exercise and to eat less, I am now fatphobic. Surprise! But obviously this did come as a huge shock to me. I mean, I had no idea that criticizing a movement that tries to claim me by my body size would put me into the obias, but here we are. So in order to rectify this miscarriage of justice, I've decided to educate myself by unpacking my fatphobia. So I have this video from TikTok, where else? Which is basically labeled the exact same thing. And we're just gonna see, what I can learn to improve myself.
Let's talk about unpacking your own fat phobia. Now, first of all, when I use the word fat in this video, I'm using it as a neutral descriptor. Just as I would say the word thin, fat, they are neutral. They have no moral code to them.
That is a tenet of fat acceptance. Fat acceptance is very much about making the word fat a neutral descriptor. You're supposed to treat it as if it's just any other word. It's just a descriptor that means nothing less, nothing more. I know that much. I learned that recently. And honestly, I don't really care about that. I don't see fat as a dirty word. I'm fat. Big deal. It's just an adjective as far as I'm concerned.
Now, our society does not see those words the same way. So also you'll hear me use interchangeably fat and those who reside in a larger body, because some people that reside in a larger body don't reclaim the word fat and still think that the word fat is bad.
You know what's funny about that? The person-centered language, such as a person who resides in a larger body, a lot of that stuff was actually invented by people who are not of those groups. Person-centered language is sometimes a lot of times rejected by people with disabilities. For example, I stutter. Now, sometimes I fall into this old language that I kind of learned in grad school, which is person who stutters. And I never referred to myself as that until that moment, because I was like, well, geez, I stutter, but I don't really want to offend other people who stutter by calling them a stutterer. By the way, if you're wondering why I have so many edits in my videos, that's the reason. It's because I can't stop stuttering. I'm doing my best. Maybe one day I'll do an edit where I have all my stutters inserted. But anyways, I got to the stuttering class in grad school because I'm a speech pathologist, and so I went to speech pathology school. I got my grad degree doing that stuff. And the teacher of our stuttering class was also a stutterer. And he was just like, a lot of people do not like person who stutters, and I'm going to bring in a few of them. And we had this panel of people who stutterers come in, and they were like, yeah, we hate person-centered language. We stutter. We are stutterers. That is who we are. We don't really want to separate it from who we are. And I was just like, well, okay, but I still use it back and forth interchangeably. So I get what she's saying here about people who are fat and people who are in larger bodies. Although in this case, it should be people who are fat. So that's just more of a stigma thing. But I just think that's interesting that a lot of that person-centered language is often pushed by people, for example, not in that group. I look at this woman here and I don't really think that she's in that fat group. But she's talking about the fat topic. So yeah.
Now, why I'm bringing this up is because I had an acquaintance call me yesterday. I have not talked to this person in a few years. And they kind of came back into my life and they're like, I love what you're doing on Instagram. I need to pick your brain. And I was like, why not give them a call back? So this person came to me and said, I know you're going to hate everything that I'm saying, but I want to be really, really honest with you, and I just want to hear how you react to this. She went on to tell me that she was dating a man that was in a very large body. She absolutely loved his personality. She loved everything about him, but she sat him down and told him that he needs to get healthy, he needs to lose weight, et cetera, et cetera. And now they're on a break, and she is recognizing that she has her own she needs to work through.
Okay, that is rough. So I'm surprised this happened with it being the woman who told the man he needs to lose weight, because, and this could just be me generalizing, but in my experience, men take that kind of criticism so much better. They're very much aware of the reality of the situation. Not to say that a lot of women aren't, it's just there tends to be a sensitivity issue that I've just personally noticed. Okay, don't take that the wrong way if you're a woman, you're not sensitive, because I'm also basically not a sensitive woman. I'm not very emotional. I am very masculine in that regard. It's my Aquarius moon, as Alex would say. But that still does surprise me because, you know, if he is very large and she's saying, hey, I want to have a future with you, but I'm afraid that we might not be able to have that future just because you're so unhealthy at this moment. We should think about losing weight. I can help you. I'm here to support you, but I care about your health. I don't think that's a bad thing to say. So apparently, like, I'm surprised he took it that way. I wonder if he's in the FA community. I would not be surprised. Because at the end of the day, it is about health. I'm not really... I kind of question this story. I'm sorry. I know that's so... Okay, so we're working on my fat phobia today, sexism tomorrow.
Now, let me start by saying this is absolutely weight stigma, right? Coming to a person who has full body autonomy and telling them what they need to do with their body. Of course, if you are a partner to someone, you can be concerned about somebody's health, but then that unravels a whole nother deeper conversation, how the size of our body does not directly correlate to our health status.
But it does. You know, here's the thing about this. They would never look at somebody who had a restrictive ED, who was significantly underweight and like skin and bone, and say that their health is not correlated to their weight. They only apply it to when people are in larger bodies, when people are fat. Which makes absolutely zero sense. You can't have it both ways. And if he is quite a larger man, like, men die of heart disease, men die of cancer, men die of heart attacks. And pretending that it's not related to visceral fat, for example, visceral fat that is more prevalent on overweight men than it is on overweight women, is frankly ridiculous, saying that it's not correlated. But then again, in a video we did recently, that one person did say, like, visceral fat didn't exist, so... yeah. Anyways, this is another thin TikToker telling fat people that they're healthy, which is like, there has to be money in this at some point, because I don't even know how she can sit there and basically lie to you.
We'll save that for another day. Let's pocket that. So she came to me and she was like, I don't know what to do, but I watch your videos and I just feel like I want to hear how you'd have to respond. And she was like, what would you think if you saw this person? Like, if you saw my boyfriend in a room, like, what would you think about him by looking at him? And I said, I'm going to be really honest with you. If you asked me this question 10 to 15 years ago, I would have said, he's lazy. He doesn't take care of himself. He needs to lose weight, because I was fatphobic. I was raised in a society that told me that people in larger bodies were lazy, were unworthy, were bad, were unhealthy.
This is another example of people using their own personal experience and projecting it onto other people. Because I've always been really against saying that people who are fat are lazy. Yes, there are obviously exceptions. I think a lot of people who are fat have had a lot of issues, maybe hormonally, maybe they have an ED, maybe they have really poor health education that's led to a lot of consequences, and so every time they try to lose weight, they're following the poor health education and it doesn't work, and it's like, well, clearly. But it's not fat phobic to think that someone needs to lose weight if they're fat. That's not being naturally afraid of fat or disliking a fat person. That's just being realistic. In the same way that if a person is significantly underweight, you would be, well, that person needs to gain weight. That person needs some mental help in some way or another. There's clearly something going on there.
Now, because I'm a registered dietitian and certified intuitive eating counselor who has spent years unpacking my bias and my belief systems, and it is still a life's journey and life's work. It's never...
Okay, that explains a lot. She's a dietitian and intuitive eating specialist, certified. I think intuitive eating, okay, maybe for some people, it works. And I've always said, when it comes to your macros, eat intuitively. If you feel like you need more fat that day, eat more fat. And if you feel like you need more protein that day, eat more protein. If you feel like you need carbs, if you feel like you need sugar, eat that carbs and sugar. But make sure you're not overeating. You know, kind of let your cravings guide which foods you eat that day, but don't let your cravings cause you to overeat. But that's not what I see about intuitive eating. What I see about intuitive eating is just eat until you stop feeling hungry, and don't stop eating certain foods just because you think that they're bad. The problem is there are foods that are not good for you. The problem is that your body sometimes is not functioning correctly and it's telling you to eat more than you should. That's how I gained weight. So when people bring up hormones and hormone issues like your thyroid or PCOS or other issues like that, they're always like, well, I didn't gain weight because I overate. I gained weight because of my thyroid or something. I'm like, well, your thyroid not functioning properly makes you hungrier. Your body's not actually regulating your metabolism. So you think you're eating until you're full, but you're actually not. You're eating more than your body needs. And yes, you can gain a certain amount of weight due to these metabolic changes that are caused by hormonal issues, but nobody goes from a normal, healthy BMI to super morbidly obese just purely based on hormones. Now, the exception would be that disease, I think it's like lipedema, where you just gain fat deposits for like no reason. That's definitely not the majority of people. I'm always going back and forth of listen to your doctor, don't listen to your doctor, listen to a dietitian, don't listen to a dietitian. And it really just comes down to who is a dietitian and who is a doctor. Because sometimes you get people like this, because I would just never listen to this person. If I was having, let's say I had not been diagnosed with my thyroid issue, because if you know that story, they told me my thyroid was fine. 5 years later, came back and they're like, oh, yeah, we messed up that test result. You were not fine. Now, let's say I was struggling and I was like, geez, well, maybe I'm just super overeating. Maybe I have a binge ED. And I'd gone to a dietitian for help and they told me to eat intuitively. I would have been so overeating, listening to my body in that way. So that's why I cannot get on board with this. I think that the overwhelming majority of morbidly obese and super morbidly obese people have an issue with their metabolism and their hormones that are telling them to eat more than they should. And that's why they feel like they're starving and dying every single time they're trying to go on a diet. This is just, it's not helping. Okay. Oh gosh, we're not even halfway through this video. Ugh.
We're done. It's never over. It's something that if I walked into a room and saw a person, their body usually isn't something that even crosses my mind. And even if it were to cross my mind, it's never a negative connotation. It's like, oh, that person is large, that person is small, and it's a neutral descriptor. But to be honest, that doesn't even come up for me much.
Okay, I'm going to say right here, I don't believe her. I don't believe her at all. And that's because, as I told you, I'm a speech pathologist. When somebody walks into a room and they have a very, very, very clear, like, speech disorder or delay, I like zero in on that immediately. I might not say anything, just depending on like what relationship I have with that person. But I'm like, language disorder, articulation disorder, that person stutters. And it's because it's my profession. It's something that I am trained to do. So my brain is just always primed to look for those things. Now, if she's a dietitian and she's helping people with their health, it's very weird to me that she doesn't notice those things. Okay, it'd be like if a fitness instructor walked in and they're like, yeah, it's a person's body. Man, they could work on their pecs a little bit. I'm like, I could totally see that happening. So I just don't believe her. I think she's coping here. I think she's making stuff up to kind of fit into this idea that she has of herself. It's basically the whole, I don't see color, right? That's what kind of what it sounds like. The person walks in the room, I just don't see it. Sorry, no, I don't believe it.
And she was mind blown by that, like seeing how 10, 15 years ago, I would have acted one way versus how I am now.
I mean, she was mind blown by the fact that you just basically lied to her.
But why I bring all this to your attention, one, fat people have been oppressed, shamed, stigmatized for so much of their life. And we know this, and we know that weight stigma has terrible negative health effects. But I also want to take a moment to recognize for this person who came to me, who again is an acquaintance. We connected through mutual friends years ago, but she's a lovely person. It does take courage to come forward and say, I think I caused harm. I'm now recognizing it. I have no fucking idea what to do with this because my beliefs are so deeply entrenched this way, and I need help. And I bring this to you because I think it's so easy as someone who works in the anti-diet space, works in the health at every size space, that when you see someone saying that like fat people are bad, and don't get me wrong, there's a big difference between like abuse and just not knowing. But this was a very specific example with this person where she really didn't get it.
Okay. There's so much to unpack there. When it comes to this whole idea of weight stigma, I truly am still trying to understand what that means. I lived in Japan for 6 years. And I would say if any country were fatphobic, it would be probably Japan. Sorry, Japan. I love you, Japan. I think you're awesome. But if I had to just pick one, it'd probably be that country. They're very, very, very concerned with a certain body type and certain body size. That being said, even then, I can only think of one instance in those entire 6 years where I was ever told I wasn't allowed to do something because of my size. And even then, it was a safety concern because I had to put on a seatbelt for a roller coaster ride. And they're like, sorry, the seatbelt's not going to fit on you. And yes, it was embarrassing, but it wasn't like their fault. Yes, there's people who will make like maybe rude comments, or there's people who will like kind of think, you know, fat is funny in Japan, but it's like, did anything actually hold me back from doing anything I wanted to do other than that riding that roller coaster, which to be fair was at Universal Studios. I mean, that is an American company, not a Japanese one. No. So like when they talk about weight stigma, I'm like, what weight stigma? What are you not allowed to do due to your size and weight other than things that are directly impacting your safety? I never hear about this. We always hear about the stigma and how you're being held back, but like, give me an example. Because I am a fat person. I used to be 347 pounds. I've lost a lot of weight. I'm still fat. I can go to the gym. I can drive. I can have a job. I have friends. I can basically go out and do whatever I want as long as I have the money to do so. And if I didn't, there's still things that I could do. Like, I'm just trying to figure out is the stigma the way people think about you? Because the way people think about you is a very individual concept. We can say society believes this, but society is often reflected in regulation and law and in access. So if your access is just not being able to ride a roller coaster at Universal Studios, please tell me, what else can you not access? I would just really like to know. Seriously, teach me, tell me, put it in the comments, let me know.
Like, she didn't understand how harmful it is to tell somebody that they need to shrink their body and that you're concerned about their health because they're in a larger body. Like, so I'm sharing this because it was so profound that someone would call me and say, I know I'm in the wrong. I have no idea what to fucking do about it, but I just wanted to pick your brain and I need you to be straight with me. And so I was very straight with her. I sent her tons of resources and I sent her tons of colleagues' accounts of people that I've learned from that reside in larger bodies that are doing this anti-fat bias work and have been doing the work for years. And not only do they have the professional experience, but they have the lived experience of living in a larger body.
Okay, but what does working for anti-fat bias, which yes, we shouldn't discriminate against people because they're fat. Clearly, we can all be on board with that. What does that have to do with health? Like, this whole thing started because her friend told her boyfriend, hey, you probably should think about getting healthy. But we're now associating that with bias. And the bias here is that you can't be healthy if you're overweight, but that is true. It is so true. They're lumping so many different things together and saying it's all the same thing when it isn't. And it's just so disingenuous. It's like, oh my gosh, you're not hiring this person as your dietitian.
And so I say this to you because this work is uncomfortable. It's hard, but it is necessary. And if you are someone who thinks that you want to make peace with food and make peace with your body, what comes along with that is unpacking your belief systems of all body sizes. So this is a very long rant during my lunch today, but I just can't stop thinking about this phone conversation and how I wish I had the ability to just hop on the phone with every single person that wanted to very candidly share their thoughts with me, and I could hold a non-judgmental space with no shame, no guilt, and help support them, challenge their belief systems, and plant seeds to come to terms that all bodies are good bodies. The size of somebody's body does not determine their health, does not determine their worth. And if you truly care about somebody and love them and want to continue to be with them, you can support them and their relationship with their body and their relationship to health if they want to pursue health, because health is not a moral obligation.
Okay, did you see what you just said there? Want to pursue health, but in this instance, you're saying that the health didn't matter based on their size. So what are they pursuing health if their health is not related to their size? Like, what is it? They can't even keep it straight.
Oh, there's so much nuance to this conversation, but I just felt like I needed to share, and I would love to hear your thoughts. I would love to hear your questions, what's coming up for you below. Thank you for being here with me.
Okay, there's one thing that really stuck out to me in that video is where she always lumped in worth with size. I don't see anybody doing that more than the fat acceptance community. I very, very rarely ever see people talk about worth and size unless we're talking about, like, the only exception I can think of is the Bridgerton video I made where I just had random people coming in the comments and being like, the point of this is that nobody wants her because she's fat, and that means that it's an unrealistic love interest. And I'm like, have you ever heard of a chubby chaser? Like, that is a thing. Which is not really the point, but that was the point I'm making, is that it wasn't the point of the video. And here it's like, what is the point that you're making? Because you're lumping worth in with size when you put those two things together. You're assuming that if somebody cares about somebody's health, they're caring about their worth. Well, clearly she valued him a lot in this relationship because she valued him so much that she wanted him to be healthy. If she didn't value him, she would be like, just stay fat. So if this is the direction that the health industry is going in, God help us all. Because this is not going to help anybody get healthy. When we're focusing this idea of health at every size, it really just ends up focusing on people who are larger and making sure they stay larger. And it's not lost on me that so many people are themselves not large. But I am here as a large person, a fat person, a person who is fat, a person who is large, to tell you it sucks being fat. Not because of my worth, not because of how people treat me. Everything to do with it's impacting my health, and I can feel it impacting my health. My back is killing me because I was gardening today and yesterday, working my butt off, figuratively and literally. And I don't think it would hurt that much if I didn't weigh so much. And that's why I'm currently losing weight. That's why I'm doing things like gardening and going to the gym and working out. Because to make myself stronger, make my body stronger, make my muscles bigger, get some fat off my body so that I don't have as much to carry around. So that my joints and ligaments and tendons feel better. All those connective tissues just, yeah. Anyways, yikes. You can tell how worked up I am over this. Let me know what you think down below. Like and subscribe if you're so inclined, and I will talk to you later. Bye.